LinkedIn News.
Every time a door slammed in my face, the question I had on my mind was not, God, why are you doing this to me? It was, God, what are you trying to show me? I know that you lit a burner under my rear end to get me out of this life. Where do you want me to go? That's when things started happening for me.
That's Episcopal nun Sister Monica Clare. I'm Leah Smart, and this is Everyday Better. Stay tuned to hear the incredible story of how she left her career in Hollywood to follow her true calling and how you can find yours too. Don't forget to hit that follow button to get new episodes of our show every week. And if you want to hang out with me more, you can find me on socials. Finally, if you like this conversation, I have a favor to ask. Leave us a review wherever you're listening so we can keep bringing you more conversations that you love. Hey everyone, from LinkedIn News, this is Everyday Better, a show about the tools you need to create positive change in your mindset, your work, and every other area of your life. I'm Leah Smart, LinkedIn's senior editor and a certified professional coach, and I help people become better versions of themselves one day at a time. Every week, I sit down with a trusted voice, so together we can explore how to take small steps toward big changes, the kind we plan for, strive toward, or never saw coming. Sister Monica Clare is a nun and spiritual counselor specializing in religious trauma, mental illness, and addiction. But surprisingly, you might know her from TikTok. Her handle is Nonsense for the People, which I love that pun, and she started posting videos to demystify life as a nun. See, being a nun was always her plan A. I know, a bit of an unusual one, but it's the thing that she always dreamed of doing. But before she joined a convent, Sister Monica went through decades of following one path after another, only to feel dissatisfied. It was only when she started learning how to listen to herself instead of the world around her that she found her calling and the courage to go after it. Her memoir is called A Change of Habit, Leaving Behind My Husband, Career, and Everything I Owned to Become a Nun. And in today's conversation, we talk about the steps she took to get to know herself better and find her calling, as well as advice for how you can create the right kind of change in your life too. Here's my conversation with Sister Monica. I think in general, life doesn't go according to plan. You have talked a lot about the fact that you had multiple things in your mind that you thought were going to go a certain way, and then they didn't. Tell me a little bit about how I got to you today.
That was a long 300-page story. But I think that God was leading me all the while to this life, because this was the life that I wanted when I was a little kid. And everything else was an attempt to forget about what I wanted as a little kid, to be a sister, to go into a convent, and to try and be normal. I got into acting to get over my shyness, and then acting led me to motion picture advertising, which I just took as a job to pay the bills, and I ended up doing it for 20 years.
Wow.
Because I'm loyal, even to something that's not working.
To a fault.
Yeah, absolutely. I tried television writing, I tried stand-up comedy, I tried PR, and I was even more unhappy. My marriage was really cold and lonely and terrible. Mm. And so when all that burned down, I really, deep down, I believe that it was for a reason, that it was redirecting me elsewhere.
So, okay, so you have this moment as a young girl realizing you wanted to be a nun. Okay, I'm going to say that that's probably not common for most people, right? So I want to know more about, was it a moment? Was there a wake-up call? How did this happen for you?
It was, strangely enough, through the entertainment industry. I would watch movies on the Saturday movie matinee, like The Nun Story. The Nun Story really drew me in because it's a beautiful movie, and it tells a true story of a Belgian nun. It stars Audrey Hepburn. All the habits were perfectly beautiful. I thought, oh man, I want to live like that. And then at the end of the movie, she leaves the convent. And I was like, what?
That was not your happy ending.
Are you crazy? But I just saw this sister in that movie as somebody that I could aspire to that life. I could imitate that life. But other people in my life were saying, why on earth would you want that for yourself? Women are supposed to get married and have children. That's my mother would say to me, that's what women are made for. And as I got, older and I got in my 30s, I thought, that's a calling for some people to be partnered and to have children, and it's wonderful if you're called to that. But I truly believe that not everybody is called to that. And that gave me a little bit of a break, a little relief, because I always thought, I'm terrible if I don't want to do that. Because even my friends would say, oh, that's a selfish choice.
How could you decide? Yeah. Is there anything that you did that helped you in your own self-discovery?
I read a book called What Color is Your Parachute? It really changed my life because I was trying to think of how I could get out of advertising because I was so deeply entrenched. And that book, I'll never forget it. I can't remember if it was your top 3 or your top 5 values. You put your values in this list and you say, am I living my life according to those values? And my values list, number 1 was God. And I thought, if God is the number 1 thing in my life, why am I not living my life according to that? And how can I? So that started me on the road to self-discovery.
You talk about a plan A.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So I always had a plan B in my life. Plan A was to be a nun. Plan B was to stay in advertising until I aged out and they threw me out of the business. And there were other plan Bs as well, like to be a television writer, to be a songwriter, or to be like a stand-up comic or an actress or whatever. Those were always on the list. And there was a point, like in 2009, I said, God, I'm not going to pursue those things anymore. I'm tired of running around in circles pursuing things just in case you're not calling me to be a nun. I'm going to go 100% with plan A, and you got to let me know if you're not calling me to this. I want you to slam the doors in my faces, just like you did with other things. And I knew it wasn't going to feel easy, but all of a sudden, like within a very short time, my boss came up to me and asked to talk to me. I was like, I'm fired. I'm sure I'm fired. She took me in her office and she said, I need to give you a raise. And I almost fainted dead away on the floor because the biggest obstacle between me and entering a community was my debt. And I had a plan.
Because you can't go in with it. Got it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that is a huge obstacle for a lot of people wanting to become a monk or a nun or a friar. And I was looking at, 10 years paying off my debt. After I got that raise, it became like 2 years that I was going to pay off my debt. I just couldn't believe it. I said, okay, God, I'm listening.
That's an open door.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you say to people who are like, I'm not necessarily religious. I do want to find a calling. And maybe I've discovered this plan A, and I do want to go all in on it.
I would tell people, dip your toe in. You don't have to, because I've had friends who left their corporate jobs where they were very successful, making a lot of money, just quit their job to write scripts, and they were broke within like 2 or 3 years because they had walked away from something, really wanting this calling in their life, but they hadn't done it in a gradual way. And I think with me, with pursuing the convent was very gradual. I started going to church every now and then, got more involved in church, and just sort of dipped my toe in and became fully immersed over the years. One thing drew me slowly away from the other rather than an abrupt end. And I always say, talk to people who are already doing what you want to do, because if I had talked to people who worked in movie advertising, I would have never worked in movie advertising. It's so not me, and it's so them. But it's just, if I had only just talked to 3 people who worked in that industry.
Your plan B wasn't even your plan B.
No, it was just to pay the bills. Yeah. I was definitely in the wrong place.
I think there are people out there who think that maybe their calling is something. Like if you ask them what plan A is, they'd say it.
Yeah.
But somewhere inside, they know that may not be true, that they may want that thing for very specific external reasons, like how much money it will make, how popular or famous it might make them, or, whatever the thing is. How do we discern in ourselves when the thing isn't necessarily a calling? Yeah. It's I don't know what to call it.
It's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
I think with discerning whether or not you feel like you're not in the right place, a lot of it is somatic. It's in your body. Like I started getting really sick when I was working in advertising. And all my friends back home, my family, everybody around me said, wow, you have an amazing job. You work in Hollywood and you're so successful. And that was the trap that was keeping me in it while my body was saying, we got to get out of here. This is terrible. And I was sick all the time. I developed psoriatic arthritis in 2000 and became really debilitated. Some people were getting drawn into addiction and alcoholism. and saying, it's my job. It's the stress of my job. Because when we were in our 20s, we would go work 14 hours a day and on the weekends, and everything was centered on the job. And then our bodies started breaking down and saying, I'm not letting you go to work today.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah. And you can feel weird little twitches in your body when you're in a situation that's not right for you. Little something in your stomach or in your heart. A lot of times it's in your guts. Like when I was in advertising, I saw a lot of things that were unethical. And it bothered me. If it bothers you for a few days, something that you saw at work, and, of course, in the old days, we would say, well, that's just the way things are, but still it bothers you. If it doesn't align with your values, you really need to look at that. I was always looking at the violence and misogyny in movies and television shows. It really bothered me. If I had listened to my body, I would have left advertising in like 1996.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I was just like everybody else. I was ignoring my body.
So finding your calling starts with going back to your roots. What are your values? What was your plan A when you were a kid? And also listening to your body. Coming up, Sister Monica Clare and I talk about reframing the idea of being on the wrong path. We'll be right back. And we're back with Sister Monica on how to find your calling. I love this idea of this gradual move toward plan A because I do think so many people, it's so easy to feel like I have to go do this thing. I have to do it now.
Yeah.
How do you know for sure?
You never do. There's an old joke in religious communities that says, how do you know if you are really 100% called to the religious life? And the answer is, if you're laying in your coffin dead at the end of your life and you're wearing a habit, then you'll know.
Done. Okay.
We have to. We are required to check in with ourselves every day and say, do I still want to be here? Is this where God still wants me to be? And it used to be considered a failure if you entered a religious community and left. But now we don't see it as a failure. We see it as a stepping stone to something else. And so that's comforting to know that you don't have to go all in 100% and know for sure. Because if you chase that, you'll never be satisfied.
You have talked about the fact that obviously there are all these things in your life, and you said this at the beginning, that felt like, it is the wrong path.
Yes.
But you also say, and you end the book with this idea of God paving the way. You said nothing was lost. Everything was a part of your journey. Everything played a part. I have always been exactly where I was supposed to be, and failures are not wasted time.
Amen.
Talk to me about that. Yeah.
I've started, since I became a spiritual director, a lot of my clients were talking to me about they felt like they were a failure. And I started reframing it for them by saying, I don't like the word failure. I like the idea that you tried something, it was right for you at that time, and then you discovered it wasn't right for you going forward. You try it. You don't enter into it to say, I'm all in 100% for the rest of my life, which is what people used to do.
So plan A doesn't mean you're all in forever for the rest of your life.
Yeah, sometimes it just means it's a stepping stone. You're still being directed to step on these stepping stones. And each one, you don't know how long it's going to last. You know? Like even with marriage, people feel like they fail if they get a divorce. I think, no, you just tried it and you were together for as long as it took, and then now you're going to try something else. We need to be gentler with ourselves about failing and succeeding.
So for people who might be pursuing plan A now and realizing somewhere along the road that it's not what they wanted, they're disappointed, or they're just pursuing things that they're like, I thought I wanted this and I'm not getting what I thought I'd get out of it.
Yeah.
What do you tell people? What's like your kind of piece of advice for people who are sitting in a place right now going, I had this whole plan for my life and it's just not unfolding that way?
Yeah. And so many people are, and they're in so much despair. The first thing I would say is don't beat yourself up. We all get lost on our path, and we're never really lost. It's going to lead to something else. And the second thing I would say is if you haven't taken the personality tests, take them because they will tell you a lot about where your path is. Make a list of your values, like in what color is your parachute? What are your values? What are jobs that align with those values? How can you gradually transition into that life? I felt very locked into advertising because of the hours. And I wanted to go into church work, but the hours were so long. I was thinking, how can I gradually start taking on more church work if I'm working 14 hours a day? But I gradually learned how to fit it into the cracks of my life. And you have to find out who you actually are and what your values are. A lot of people have a heart for social justice work, and they're working at a bank. So how can you fit a little bit of social justice into your life? And if you're meant for it, I believe that God pulls you into it, hook, line, and sinker at some point.
I like the idea of what moves your heart. And I might add for myself, just in my own experience, like what moves your heart enough?
Yes.
Because I think sometimes we, again, get so into the extremes of I'm either all in or I'm all out. And if I'm not all in, then something's wrong. When really it's like, if you can get 70% of the way there, you're probably better off than a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. What even moves your heart a little bit? When you see stuff on the news, what makes you angry? What makes you cry? What inspires you? One of the things that I've learned in my adult life is that anger is not necessarily bad or negative. It can be destructive, but it can also be a messenger. And so whenever I get mad about something, I think, okay, anger, what are you trying to tell me? Like a lot of the anger today, I tell people, direct it into activism, because that's where anger belongs, is in movements that change things. I think most people want to help change the world for the better. I really believe that. And they just don't know where to start. And I would say, look at a place where you can volunteer for 2 hours and see where this goes. Like if I could be anything in the world, what would I be? What would I do? And sometimes it's weird. Sometimes people are like, I want to make cupcakes. I want to sell them, which is not weird if you're called to that. But if you're reading a lot of articles about making cupcakes and you're obsessed with this, then there's something in that.
Does your calling have to be your job?
Not necessarily. I mean, I guess if your job is not too toxic and debilitating, then you can have another interest. Like a lot of people have regular jobs in finance and they're pillars of the church. They put most of their time and energy into their earning a paycheck, but they're also at church doing great things.
One of the things that I think comes up for a lot of us, even though we don't realize it, and it seems not, it seems kind of counterintuitive, is a fear of failure, but also a fear of success.
Absolutely.
How do you work through that? What advice do you give people? Like, I mean, I might have a plan A and go, I can't wait. I'm so excited. This is what I'm supposed to do. And then at the same time go, I don't know if I can actually handle this.
Well, like all my life, I wanted to write. And so when I was offered the opportunity to write a book, I was like, oh, thank God, wait a minute. I can't write a book.
I don't know if I should be taking this offer, right?
This book is going to be terrible. Oh, no. And so around that, I've talked to my therapist about it. And I said, why do I feel like this? She said, because you need to build up your self-esteem. If your self-esteem is shaky and you go into success, it's going to really be difficult for you to not feel like an imposter, to feel like you deserve it, and to not listen to the haters and the commenters on social media that tell you you're a fraud. And I've had a lot of negative energy directed against me on social media because I'm putting myself in a very vulnerable position. So that all, I thought, being a catastrophizer, I thought about all the bad things that would happen.
Of course. So you're prepared.
Totally. I was over-prepared. And then I didn't give myself the opportunity to think about, okay, and good things are going to happen too. I rejoiced. I took time to really sit there and rejoice and sit in the moments that were happy and take it in and absorb it, because I realized we dwell on the things that are negative and scary, and we don't dwell on the happy parts. And I would think, okay, I did this gratitude exercise. What am I looking forward to about this? Yes, there are possible pitfalls, but what's going to be really awesome about this? And I'm going to be surprised with great things that happen.
The idea of building up your self-esteem sounds really simple, but not easy in practice. And so it sounded like for you, there's not like a 1, 2, 3 steps for that.
No.
There is a process that requires repetition.
Absolutely. And it's sort of like exposure therapy when you have phobias, because I started out in life with a really crippling shyness, social anxiety. And I had to expose myself gradually to social situations. I did role playing with my therapist. Like, how do I talk to people? What words do I say? And that helped a lot just to gradually expand my world, because I'll never forget my therapist when I was in my 30s. I said, I just really feel called to be a hermit and to live away from everyone. I don't want to be around humans anymore. She said, if you continue to avoid the things that you're afraid of, do you know how big your world is going to be? And she held up her hands at a little tiny square. She said, your world is going to be this big.
Oh my God. Is she taking clients? I'm like,
that was like, wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to call her boss and be like, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
And she showed me that little square. She said, is that what you want your life to be? This little square? Because I have a tendency to want to be safe. And safety is a big, big need for me, safety and stability. Mm-hmm. She said, if you just put yourself out there a little bit, you'll get used to it. And every little victory will give you a bigger boost of confidence.
You know what I love, and I'm just hearing as you've described your experience, like your life experience so far, is I do believe that everyone has a path. I think that all of us have free will, but I do believe that everyone has something that you are meant to learn and do in this life, and that your lessons will come with everything that you do, right? But your lessons will come no matter what kind of path you're meant for. Totally. In the sense that, I was not called to be a nun. However, I might learn a lesson that you've learned also because I've chosen to do the thing with my life that I do believe I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And so there is a way for all of us to get to a lot of the same lessons. So for example, when you said, this idea of like the world being, how small do you want your world to be? Yeah. I had a similar feeling about that when I had my daughter. Oh. And she's 9 months now. And I remember someone saying, like, I know she's so tiny and perfect and cute. But, I remember someone saying something to me about her, asking me a question. And I was like, I can't imagine 20 years from now, or even 5 years from now, when she can talk and ask me questions and I'll be asking a million, like, Mommy, what do you do? And like, what didn't you do? Oh, so you didn't do that because you were afraid?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it brought me to tears when I first thought of it. And so like a lesson like that can come from any place if you're open to it.
Absolutely. I think when we're born, we have a certain set of lessons that we're supposed to learn.
So how do you savor the fact that you've made it to your calling?
It's a wonderful thing to wake up every day and do like a self-examination of my conscience and say, do I still want to be here? Am I still happy? And the answer is yes. What a wonderful feeling when I say, I love what I do. Nothing I do feels like work anymore. People call me a workaholic because I do this kind of work 24/7. I'm like, this is what I've always wanted to do. And my life has come full circle. I feel very fulfilled. So I never thought I would feel that. It's a great feeling.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That was Sister Monica Clare, Episcopal nun and author of A Change of Habit, Leaving Behind My Husband, Career, and Everything I Owned to Become a Nun. If you like this episode, make sure you check out my conversation with Michelle Thaler. She's the former head of science communications at NASA. It was all about finding our place in the world, and it was fascinating. You can find a link to that in the show notes, and if you give it a listen, let me know what you think. Everyday Better is a production of LinkedIn News. The show is produced by Emily Reeves, Ava Ahmad-Beghi, and Rachel Wong. Asaf Gadron is our sound engineer. Tim Boland mixed our show. We get additional support from Alex Kutsiansova and Mujib Mirdad. Sarah Storm is our senior producer. Dave Pond is head of production and creative operations. Maya Pope-Chappelle is director of content and audience development. Courtney Koop is head of original programming. Dan Roth is LinkedIn's editor-in-chief and vice president of content development. And I'm Leah Smart. Thanks for coming with me, and I'll see you next time.